Welcome back to I Want That Too, the show that where we do a deep dive in the world of Disney merch, sharing the stories behind some of your favorite collectibles. I'm entertainment writer Jim Hill, and I'm joined tonight by my fabulous co-host Lauren Hersey, who's just back from a baseball game, right?
That is true. Whatever it takes to get you your merch news and information. And we are dropping today's episode on April 19th, which is just a few days shy of Earth Day, which is April 22nd, if you did not know that. And it's such an important day, don't you think, Jim?
Oh, no, no, absolutely. Earth Day is a great reminder of the importance of taking care of our planet, which Disney leans in heavily too. And speaking of which, on the second half of today's show, we're going to talk about a character who, since 1944, has been reminding us all to be a bit more active when it comes to protecting our planet. And that character is Smokey the Bear.
Actually, Jim, that character's name is Smokey Bear. You need to drop that Mr. Hill. And when my family and I were just down at Walt Disney World last month, there was all sorts of Smokey Bear merch on sale at the settlement trading post at the Disney's Fort Wilderness. And I meant to ask you about that because Smokey is not a Disney character, right?
Well, that is true, but Smokey does have kind of an interesting tie to a Disney film from the early 1940s, which is Bambi. But like I said, we'll do a deep dive on that topic on the second half of today's show.
Okay, but before we do that, we have a news segment for this edition of I Want That Too.
That is true. And the news portion of the show is brought to you by touringplans.com. Let's be honest, folks, planning a trip down to Disney or Universal can be pretty overwhelming, given that there's just so much to see and do around Orlando. But if you take advantage of the tools Touring Plans makes available to you, well, you'll then get insight into crowd patterns of the park and be able to skip the longest lines, which will then make it possible for you and your families to make the most of your visit to Central Florida. So, before you book that flight, save some time and money by visiting our friends at touringplans.com. Okay, Lauren, so what's in the news merch wise this week?
All right, well, given that we will be posting the show on April 19th, we are now just 2 short months out from the rumored opening of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I mean, like, I'm so stoked. That is happening down at Magic Kingdom in Florida.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the scuttlebutt coming out of Central Florida right now has the rethemed Splash Mountain opening on Juneteenth, which is June 19th, right?
That's what I've been hearing as well. And given that just this past week we learned about not one, not but two new shops that will be opening in Frontierland once Tiana's Bayou Adventure finally opens for business.
And those two shops are?
Well, we have the Critter Co op and there is Tiana's Bayou General.
Okay, so, and what do we know about these two shops?
Okay, so the Critter Co-op and Tiana's Bayou General will both feature merchandise that I'm assuming are themed around the new attraction, right? And they'll probably feature items inspired by the 2009 animated movie The Princess and the Frog. There's no shocker there. And though I don't know for sure what will be in the shops just yet, over the weekend, we did just get a sneak peek of my personal favorite, some mini ears based around Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So they were sported by a WDW ambassador at the Cherry Blossom Festival in Washington just a few days ago. Did you hear that?
Yeah, actually, it was this past Saturday morning. Nancy was watching Good Morning America and called my attention to, I guess they had Tiana there as part of the Cherry Blossom Festival and a horse-drawn cart. So, and obviously, the Washington D.C. area is an important feeder market for Walt Disney World. So it certainly makes sense that they do promo up there. But and so, I guess which of the two stores do you think will offer these ears?
Probably both, if I had to guess. And if you're looking for them, Here's a quick pick, but they are dark blue. They have a puffy gold bow right in the center there with a water lily in the middle. I mean, that's very synonymous with the Princess and the Frog. And on one side, you have Lewis under some like Bayou plants, and on the other side, it has the it looked kind of like embroidered, like the Tiana Bayou Adventure logo. So super excited for those. So what's going on right now is with the Critter Co-op, that is going to be in the spot where the Briar Patch Shop used to be. If you're familiar, that's one right when you walk up towards where Splash Mountain was. Now that one is fully rethemed on the outside. You have the new signage over the doorway, and there's some really cute theming, very detailed in the windows. And so what you're seeing is some of the new critters that I'm assuming are going to be a part of the ride experience. We're not seeing as much yet for Tiana's Bayou General because that one is going to be replacing the gift shop at the ride exit. So, I mean, it's just a conveniently placed gift shop, obviously. And the building is, painted and it's yellow and it has the name, but that's all we've seen so far. So excited to, I mean, continue to see what's to come with those.
Okay. Well, and again, what we're hearing, folks, is a Juneteenth opening with, again, June 19th of this year. But speaking of things that will be opening in and around Juneteenth, Lauren, we should probably mention Inside Out 2. That Pixar film just got showcased this past week out in Las Vegas at CinemaCon. And exhibitors there got to see the first 35 minutes of this Inside Out sequel inside the Coliseum at Caesar's Palace, and were reportedly blown away about the footage they saw from this Kelsey Mann movie.
Okay, so Inside Out 2, that arrives in theaters, what, like Friday, June 14th? That is just 5 days before Juneteenth, right?
Yep, and forgive me for asking, but have you seen any Inside Out specific merch yet?
Yeah, so if you go to the Disney store or Shop Disney, the answer is no, for the moment anyway. Mind you, there are 15 or so items for sale there, mostly t shirts that then key off of the original Inside Out movie.
Which, just to remind folks, that was released at theaters nearly 9 years ago now, back in June of 2015.
But the funny thing is, if you plug in Inside Out 2 in the search term on the Disney store, what you then get is an image of sadness brought out on the floor, as if to say sadness is depressed because there are still no Inside Out 2 related merch items for sale. Oh, she is so sad. I'm like, give her some
Yeah,
merch.
yeah, I love that character. But on the other hand, supposedly, if you go over to Amazon, it's a very different story, right?
Yes, it is. I mean, Amazon, they have everything. So if you want a t-shirt that's it has joy and sadness, and anxiety, the new anxiety character. Oh my God, I can't wait for in the anxiety character. But they do have them available for purchase for $22.99. Likewise, there's a similar t-shirt with anxiety front and center. I mean, like it's our spirit emotion with all sorts of concerns swirling around this Inside Out 2 character. Well, she says, I'm fine. And we all know, we say, I'm fine. You're not fine. But that is also available for purchase for $22.99.
Got it. And I've also heard that there's a bunch of Inside Out 2 related books about to go on sale at that site as well.
That is true. There's a little golden book version of Inside Out, which is available for purchase on May 28th. Whereas the Go to Sleep Anxiety picture book, which has the characters from Inside Out 2 appearing in the story that's unrelated to this yet to be released Pixar sequel that goes on sale May 7th. Whereas the original Art of Pixar Disney Inside Out 2, that's from Chronicle Books, and that goes on sale between those two titles on May 14th.
I got to tell you, Lauren, I've got a couple of dozen of these art of books that Chronicle has published over the past 20 years, and they always do such a good job when it comes to developing or documenting the development of the overall look of an animated feature.
Yeah, you have to show those off at some point. I've heard you have lots of books. But while we're talking about the characters that Pixar created, and since we're just a few days out from Earth Day, I guess we need to take a moment to talk about the character who really dedicated himself to cleaning up our planet. And that would be, oh my gosh, he's so cute, little Wally.
Yeah, and again, I've been a huge fan of that Andrew Stanton film. Again, first released to theaters back in June of 2008, and I got a couple of toys here at the house that hit store shelves back when that Pixar production initially debuted. Has there been much new merch since?
There's always a handful of Wally related merch items, especially if you go to the parks. So, maybe a half a dozen. You get your plushies, you get a couple shirts, but nothing yet related to Earth Day this year. The only thing I could find related to Earth Day this year was a very basic, like, think green shirt with like the Disney pals and some plants, like potted plants for $29.99 on Shop Disney.
Okay, well, I guess that's a fashionable way to let your friends and family know that you're a Disney fan and you care about the environment. But you know who doesn't wear a shirt but does everything he can to protect the planet? That's Smokey the Bear.
Seriously, Jim? No the bear, just Smokey Bear.
All right, I'm sorry, but I'm the guy who still calls Disney Hollywood Studios MGM. I am just not good at learning new names, which is why I should probably apologize in advance now to all the Disneyland Paris fans who are about to get frustrated with me because when I talk up that resort's recently renamed Disney Adventure World, I'm probably just going to call it by its old name, the Walt Disney Studios Park in Paris.
Yeah, I mean, like I see that all the time. Everybody references. So you are not alone. So speaking of the Walt Disney Studios Park in Paris, or their new adventure park, and this is a question for our friends in Europe who frequent Disneyland Paris. But is there any merch yet for Disney Adventure World? And if so, where did you find it at the resort? Tell us.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting is they had the announcement just this past week on April 12th, which, of course, is the 32nd opening or anniversary of the opening of the park. And what they seemed to be saying at that time was that the new name would debut with the World of Frozen, which I guess is going to open in 2025 sometime. But you got to assume there'll be merch out ahead of that.
Right, I'm sure.
So, all right. Well, if anybody could let us know, when the merch shows up, we will of course share that information on an upcoming episode of I Want That Too. But now, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to tell you all about the role that Walt Disney played in the creation of Smokey the Bear.
Jam, come on, just Smokey Bear.
Oh, okay, all right, whatever. But first, this.
Hi there. If you want to hear the rest of today's episode, you can head over to iTunes and listen to the full audio experience there. You can also head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/GymHillMedia, for the full video episode. Or if none of those options works for you, then we will see you back here next week. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications on, and comment below and let us know what you want to see in future episodes.